stava a succedere nel bordello.
All right, what's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of IFTV on Drugs. It's the Bordello, episode 245. I'm here with D-Lo at his house. Sam Adamo coming at you. Thank you for having me back here again, sir. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel. Toss a like on this motherfucker. And just toss a comment on the video. Apparently that helps. I'm going to say it at the front of the video and see if anything helps. We have a loaded episode for you guys. We have some... I think we have... It's safe to say... we pre-banked some stuff, and we have a couple of goodies later on in the episode. Some news, which we, I think, needed a little bit more info on after last week, for one, and a legal segment with our lawyer, who is now left, but he was here before, and he took part in our legal segment, which we'll get to later. So that's good. But yeah, IFTV on meth. IFTV if they were cool. If IFTV took edibles, that's what you're listening to. I guess. I don't know. Can I call myself that, or do I have to, that name has to be bestowed on me by the masses, I think, right? I can't just come out and claim something like that. But, yeah, I mean, there was a clip we posted last week, which... some people on Twitter enjoyed. Did pretty well for me, like for, by my Twitter metrics, got seen by a large number of people, more than, is customary for a Sam Adamo tweet. One of my favorite comments under it was, it was almost all like great support, but one person called me a Wonder Bread Wop, which is maybe my favorite insult ever. I almost commented back and said that's my favorite insult ever, but I didn't want to engage because the person was probably half retarded. But I did like the name Wonder Bread Wop, or the insult. It's a great it's great, Wonder Bread. It's got the alliteration, the two W's, Wonder Bread Wop, But fuck. Look, guys, anyway, look, welcome back to another episode. A lot to get to. Let's just get something kind of like out of the way off the top. So Giorgia Meloni, the Italian prime minister, was in New York City, I believe, last week. Can you maybe pull up the video of her in New York? Let's watch this together, please, if you don't mind. Just blast it. Here we go. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni honoring Christopher Columbus in New York City. Yeah. Posted by the National Italian American Foundation. I think probably the same organization that was in charge of the Anti-Defamation League. What is it? The Italian Anti-Defamation League, which incidentally was funded by the mafia so that the media would stop writing about all the mafia going on. That organization. The Italian Anti-Defamation League, funnily enough, we did not need to invoke in our legal segment at the end of the pod, but we could have, maybe. We could have said... It would have been funny if we asked our lawyer to invoke the financial backing of the Italian Anti-Defamation League.
Turn it on them.
I kind of regret not instructing him to bring that up in conversation. Anyway, that'll be for later in the pod. So, Giorgia Meloni was in New York. She went to go honor Christopher Columbus. She pulled that whole dog and pony show. And let's talk about this, all right? Now, obviously, Now, Columbus is a figure that is interesting because Italian Americans love him because, really, I mean, I think it's because he was an Italian man and he had a day growing up. So it just became Italian American Day. Because for the longest time, Italian Americans have been talking about how they have had it so tough and how they still have it tough and how there's anti-Italian discrimination and shit, you know. And I guess they felt that they deserve a day. And so the hill that a lot of Italian Americans have died on is Christopher Columbus was a good guy. He was a good Christian, you see. He was but a just and principled missionary. His goal, in talking about him, like his goal was to like spread the word of Christ to the Native Americans. He was a good guy, you know. What's funny to me is like ultimately now it's not a surprising decision to see someone like Meloni go honor Columbus in New York because everything in politics is placating, and that's what she's doing. But what she's choosing to placate and who she's choosing to placate, how she's choosing to placate them, is interesting here. Because what she's doing clearly is saying, I'm on this side, I'm in America, let's try to get into good books of Italian Americans. Who are Italian Americans? They're fucking idiots. So I'm just going to honor Christopher Columbus, and they're all going to sing and cheer and go, yeah, that's what's up. And here's my point. These are the people that buy Forza Italia shit. Which, again, we talked about last week, right? You see, merch with buzzwords, and you think, yeah, Italian. Like that IFTV hat that we were talking about last week, which had like all the buzzwords in the world. Calcio, Ultra, Forza Italia. All shit which could get you killed and stabbed in Rome. For different reasons. Like if you have a hat that says Ultra, Calcio, Forza Italia, there's a Roman guy somewhere that'll stab you in a neighborhood. Somewhere, right? But people like that are who she's going for here, right? She's trying to appear, like a strong ambassador for Italy to the world in an area where there are Italian people. And so she's deciding to honor their patron saint. Which, but I mean, can we all agree? Like, let's just all say, Columbus is not a good patron saint to have as a community, Lucky Luciano is not, Tony Soprano is not a good beacon of hope to the Italian community. Tony Soprano's a character. Michael Corleone was a character. Crazy Joe Crazy Bananas Bonanno, okay, in the 1960s. John Gotti. These were not guys who I think are like examples of how you want to be perceived in society, or is it? Right? Because now we have alpha male TikTok, and now all alpha male TikTok is just like, idolizing the bad guy. Look, it's the Joker. I just opened TikTok 20 minutes ago, and I'm so deep down the alpha male TikTok now that there was a guy quoting the Joker. The Joker said, if you disrespect me, then you're going to fucking get yours, type of thing. Well, I don't remember exactly what was said, but that was like the sentiment. You open up TikTok now and it's the Joker was good. He was cool and he was a badass to be emulated. Here's Pablo Escobar. Wouldn't you want to be like Pablo Escobar? And then it just like,
I've gotten like the Tony
cuts to like
the Scarface. The only thing I have in this world is my word and my balls.
I don't break it for nobody. Dude, I have a Scarface tattoo right there. Because it just fucking fires you up, man. It's just incredible. Like the bad guy does really fire you up. When you see a video of Pablo Escobar saying, even if it's not him, it's a guy playing a character, and the character is Pablo Escobar. It's an actor playing Pablo Escobar. It cuts to you know, him counting money. Then it cuts to him fucking a woman from behind in a bathroom. And then it cuts to him talking to the military and narcos going, plata o plomo. And then it just cuts away to some, like, Hispanic guitar being strummed. Like, that sounded kind of mariachi. I didn't mean for it to sound jovial. It was more like an introspective guitar almost, you know? Like a slow strum that fires you up, you know? Or you watch like Gomorra and then it cuts to like mandolin being strummed. I sono uno savastano. Nada per accidere fa sol. Like, I get that men, especially, like, kind of enjoy these figures. And here's the thing, a lot of Italian-American women do also, because a lot of them behave like men. Like, the way they speak, they're foul-mouthed, right? Like, the nuns would wash their mouth out with soap, right? What's that? What were you going to say?
No, I was just laughing.
Like, you know, it's a lot of Italian-Americans are into... Of course, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a real feminine vibe to a lot of them. But even the more feminine ones are very aggressive, you know, by nature. Very aggressive by nature. It's like, yeah, I'll cook for you. No one's going to fucking cook for you better than me. You fucking hear me? You hear me right now? I'll cut anyone's balls off if they cook for you. Right? It's like, whoa. All right. It's kind of... You're like levying threats of violence. That's like a, you know, very typically male behavior. I mean, who knows? I mean, gender roles, maybe they're stupid now. I don't know. It's almost progressive. But that is the interesting thing about Italy, actually, and Italians, right? Very traditional values, but a lot of the women are very, very, you know, very strong-willed. There's not like, I don't know. There's not a lot of... I mean, I guess there's the physical element of needing help in the event of a fight, but a lot of them can fend for themselves, or they think they can, right? Like Chihuahuas almost. And I mean, here's the point. So, you know, Meloni comes to New York and she honors Columbus. Now, again, I understand why she's doing it, because she's like the Italian patriotism bitch. She's not gonna slander any Italian in history who did a thing. You understand? So the fact that Columbus savagely, you know, ravaged and raped and pillaged an entire continent is kind of neither here nor there to her. She's not really concerned about that. Now, could she have gone to New York and not honored Columbus? Like, yeah, nobody would have said, hey. Well, you know, actually, I hear myself saying this, and I'm realizing that it's probably not true, because there definitely would have been men who said, hey, what the fuck? She didn't think to go to the park and, you know, give a little reverence to Columbus, you know? He's a good Italian hero, you know? He discovered America. He was an Italian man, even though he did it for Spain, right? But truth is what you make it. History is revisionist by nature. You can kind of create your own narrative. So you say that Columbus was this, you know, brilliant intellectual Italian man who had linguini coming out of his ears, and you know, he was to be emulated, and you know, pizza margherita was actually his idea. Like, who gives a shit? You say whatever you want, roll with it. But because you have people that kind of like espouse these things, she wants to, you know, placate them and appear, you know, favorably to Italians in America. And that is who a lot of the people who care the most about Italian identity are. That is what they're into. They're into seeing her. Look at that. It's the Prime Minister of Italy right there. It's the President of Italy. It's the Prime Minister, but they call her the President. It's the President of Italy right there. You see, who the fuck is that? It's the fucking President of Italy. You see that? Giving respect to Columbus? That's good. That's respect right there. You know? like that's what they want to see. Like, it would be so easy to convince these people to buy a Mussolini sweater. TurnGiants.com. Get them now. Do go to TurnGiants.com. I love their stuff, actually. Little free plug. TurnGiants.com for all your
Mussolini needs.
for all your yeah. I mean, just, you know, Juve and otherwise, if you like, Italian footballers from the past. Who, I mean, they're only really donning black and white colors, I think, on their website. The mic keeps cutting out, by the way. I'm aware of that. We're not going to do anything about it. Like, it's just an annoying thing that we're going to have to deal with for the rest of the episode. I apologize for that. You're giving me a look like it's just what it is. I don't know what the fuck is going on if the wires are crossed, but we'll manage as best we can. But yeah, so yeah, you could easily get guys like that to buy a Mussolini sweater. You know, get them on board and say he put Italians first, you know. It's not that difficult, you know. When there's a disconnect and you don't really understand history or care to read about stuff or bother to understand nuance, and you want to have a very juvenile like worldview. Italians deserve respect. Italians have had it hard, and we deserve respect. I mean, it's like Italy's kind of past you. Italy has a whole new wave of issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. The world's moved on. Like, you were Italian and left. Your family was Italian and left, but people are now other things and are becoming Italian. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
The look of Italy's becoming a little different. It's not, and I know you don't think that way. Look, I know you don't think this because you think you're Italian because, you know, your nonna's from, you know, Agrigento, and you can trace it back to the old country, but Amadou speaks better than you. You understand?
Baby Ganga speaks better than you.
Baby Gang speaks better than you.
So he got not I think he got put back in prison.
I believe so.
Yeah.
He was released to do a show with Lazza. He was released to do a live show, and they brought him right back to prison. But they let him out to do a show for, you know, which, I mean, fuck it. Why the fuck not, man? You know? Who gives a shit? Like, you're going to foist AI on us, and it's going to put us all out of jobs. We're getting politically divided. Now, Italy's kind of slowly going down the path of, you know, modern politics, right? Where you have a populist who takes over, and then you have a bunch of people that are vehemently anti-populist and call everything they do racist, even though it may or may not be. Like, Italy's going the same way as the rest of society. It's going to fall apart. Throw the fucking kids a bone. Let them listen to Baby Gang live. Like, distract them from the impending doom and the apocalypse that is to come. Who gives a shit? You know? Like, it's smart. Let them out. Let the kids have something. Who cares if it's a double standard and other people have been doing, you know, time for probably, you know, I don't know. God, I don't even know. What did he get done for? Armed robbery or something? Like, let him out. People want to hear him. Let him out. He's famous. Fuck it. Make the people happy. Make the people happy. Give them something. Throw them a bone. You got to give the subject something sometimes. You know, they're on social media all the fucking time, losing their minds. Rent's going up everywhere. I don't know what the sitch is like in Europe, to be fair, but I think it's pretty fair to say it's been tough for a lot of Italians for a very long time. Most everyone has to leave their town for any, you know, chance of opportunity. You know, half the country is like kind of like not really in the same economic cohort as the rest of Europe. And the whole country is like propped up by industry in like one concentrated area. Yeah, people don't have it great over there. Right? I mean, they have it better than kids in Bangladesh, but let him listen to Baby Gang. Whatever. And Meloni's kind of a throwback as a politician. So, Dilo, you know how politicians back in the day would be very stern and so on. And you wanted sternness in your leader. The United States still kind of has this to an extent, where people vote based on, you know, if the guy's tall and how he sounds and, you know, perceived strength and so on. Like, Justin Trudeau is not a good example of what one might typically want in a politician. He's just not, right? Whether you agree with him politically or not, it's not exactly, you know, it's not exactly comforting. Maybe it is in some ways, kind of like in the same way that people want like a guy with a dad bod now. They want, comfort for all the wrong reasons, but there's no real security in hearing a guy like Trudeau speak, right? Because he sounds like a theater kid. You don't want a theater kid to run your country. You just don't. You want a jock who, if push comes to shove, you think could strangle a guy with his own bare hands and is on, testosterone replacement therapy or something. And when you're Meloni and you're a woman, you have to try to sound as stern and as manly as possible. And if you hear her speak, she's very much like, she's very, it's very, like, it's evocative of to be honest, it's actually not that dissimilar to how Mussolini used to speak, which is like, I understand that's a tough thing that's a tough soundbite right there. But I'm just talking purely like, stay with me, like just in terms of like cadence, she probably he probably lends his style to her, or she borrows some of his, his communicational methods.
She probably studied a little Mussolini.
But she probably studied a little Mussolini. It's fair to say, like even Berlusconi, like there was something about him that was affable. It was, don't worry, everything's good. It's all good. I'm the man, As is customary, I'll do an imitation. I think you were expecting one, but ecco ragazzi. Gentile popolazione, alla fine ci riusciremo. Like it was like it's, I don't know. There was something odd about it because he was not a very strong guy, but he was also good for Italy because Italy is a very, just as a figure of Italy, I mean. Like he was a very good kind of ambassador to the world for Italy. When people say, he makes a mockery of us, it's like, who do you think you are? You know what I'm saying? When you say Berlusconi makes a mockery of Italians and we're not all like that, are you not? Are you not a little like him? Are you not a little bit depraved? Are you not a little sexually depraved? Are you not a little bit, willy-nilly with your tongue, Are you not maybe necessarily all super bright? And the thing is, that's like the population everywhere, right? Like the masses anywhere are just inherently kind of stupid. It's why you have to like appeal to them as a politician. It's why Meloni's going to, the Columbus statue. She doesn't love Columbus. She probably understands, like she probably thinks about him what I do, which is I don't really give a shit about him. He's a guy who did a thing. It's, someone was probably going to discover America. He's the guy who did great. He also killed a lot of people, which everyone did back then. And, he didn't have a, he didn't have a real, he had carte blanche to kill people because it's what people did back then. And he took that carte blanche and he ran with it. He didn't say, you know what? I feel I should like honor these people's humanity. Fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it ends there. She doesn't, she doesn't have wet dreams about Christopher fucking Columbus, But there are probably like some women on Staten Island that do. Just a couple. Maybe. Like probably some point there has to be a woman who's thought about getting fucked by like Columbus, an Italian woman. And I don't suspect that Meloni ever has, Mussolini, maybe, maybe that's another matter. I don't know. Listen, if you go off of politics, you take what she says and the policies for what they are. Do they invoke certain things? Maybe, but she's playing the game. She's playing the game and she's appearing strong. And so it's funny to me because, she's a world leader and Justin Trudeau's a world leader and I'm an Italian Canadian. And so I'm kind of, beholden to both, I guess, in some ways. And can you look up that video? You heard me listening to it before. There's this video of Trudeau talking to Meloni at like a G7 summit. And it's interesting because you have like this real juxtaposition of the man who talks like a woman and the woman who's talking like a man. And the woman who wants to appear as strong as possible. And the man who wants to appear as empathetic and loving as possible. And it's fascinating. Like Trudeau's talking to her about LGBT shit. What do they sit down at some point? Taking a picture. So she's talking like a politician. She's like, Canada is a very strategic country. We would like to strengthen this relationship with Canada. And then Trudeau retorts. Here we go.
The kind of economic growth that leads to prosperity, not just for us, but for the global south as well. We know that's going to be a big part of the conversations that we need to have.
When does he talk about the gays?
It's a time of tremendous anxiety. Obviously, Canada is concerned about some of the positionings that Italy is taking in terms of the LGBT rights, but I look forward to talking with you about that because we're here.
So look, so people have obviously had enough of the LGBT rights stuff. And by that I mean, I think like people fundamentally think, yeah, just give them rights. That's it. But I mean, obviously it's like this thing now that this isn't scintillating stuff that I'm sharing here. But obviously it's a thing that it's a drum that's banged, to show that, we care and that we're good people. And in a way, it's kind of a way of placating to this just narrative, which has been, prominently, it's been around for the better part of the last 10 years now, almost. And Trudeau's a very establishment guy, right? So he's all in on this shit, and he knows that when he's talking to Meloni with the cameras on, he has to say, we're concerned about your stance on gay rights. By the way, I don't know what, he's referring to. I don't even, maybe Italy does have a horrendous record on gay rights and such. I mean, Berlusconi did come out a few years ago, by the way, and say, yeah, I fucked that minor, but at least I'm not a homo, So I'm not saying that it's like a beacon of, progressiveness, and I don't know that it ever will be, and if it ever does get to that point, it may not be for a while, but it's just interesting, that a guy like Trudeau is telling her publicly, you better, you better be, we don't like what you're doing with the LGBT rights. And then she's like, oh, this fucking guy, I can't wait to get out of this fucking room with this fucking Fuchs right now. This fucking piece of shit. I could tell. And again, they're both playing a game. It's just interesting that the game he's choosing to play is to appear to be the guy who's sensitive to these matters, which I think kind of have a lot of people rolling their eyes now because everyone knows that it's, an act to an extent, and that it's overstated. And then you have her who has to kind of appear like this strong, alpha dog who has to appear kind of revolted by it, Like this woman is visiting the Christopher Columbus statue, It's going to take a lot to get her to admit on camera, you're right, you know what, Canada, thank you. Like, this isn't the United States talking here, right? It's Canada. She understands that there's, Canada's not going to launch an all-out nuclear attack on Italy because of the gays, because of the gay stuff. So it's like it's a move that you do when you're a Trudeau type guy, when you're just when you're on the political when you're on the political left, and then when you're on the political right, you have to just appear revolted by it. And Italy's now going toward the political right, much like Italian Americans have for a very long time. It's very fun to see those two worlds collide now, But I really do think a lot of the Italian Americans who are happy to see her go to the Columbus Day, parade or the fucking Columbus statue, you could sell them a Mussolini sweater, no problem. Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, who we had before Giorgia Meloni? We had Giorgio Napoletano, who became the president of Italy when he was 81, and he looked like a nonno, and he had like a mole on his face, like every Italian fucking you ever notice that like half the Italian grandfathers out there just have these fucking skin tags? He was like one of those guys. He had like a skin tag on his face, and he was well read, and he was boring, and you never heard about him. And in some ways, that's not fun. It's a lot more fun to have a crazy bitch like Giorgia Meloni, who has a husband and probably sucks his dick. But like, you're like, how? How does he not suck her dick? That is fun. You can bring the mic closer to you if you want to just have, anyway. But like, it is fun now, the prime minister's blonde and she's going to fucking curtsy for Christopher Columbus in front of the Staten Island Wops in New York. You understand how much more entertaining that is in some ways? You know? That the fucking prime minister of Italy now is hearing, Trudeau go, we're concerned about the gays. And she goes, ugh. You can see her visibly vomit a little in her mouth,
That's why we love Trump.
Oh, ma che schifo. What, sorry?
That's why we love Trump.
Who says we love Trump?
A lot of people.
Who says I love Trump?
As an entertainer, not put politics aside.
Well,
hang
on. We can agree he's a G, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like it's kind of cool. Like, do you want Giorgio Napoletano or do you want a fucking G? Do you want a fucking... You want a guy who's gonna give you sound bites, In some ways, like you could argue Bernie Sanders is kind of a G too. He's
to a certain extent.
He's a bit of a nerd, right? But he is a G, dude.
It's back to like the alpha male.
It's just,
do you want a Bernie Sanders or like Trump?
At least Bernie Sanders sounds like. At least he sounds a little more. I don't know. There's something about the angry Jew that kind of sounds a little more menacing. We're going to do something about this. Trudeau's a very unique guy because you'd assume that behind the scenes he has to be like intelligent enough. He can't be so stupid that he is in private the way that he appears in public, right? That he's like a dumb blonde almost. He has to have an idea of like what is pragmatic and what's not. And it's just interesting that he thinks the way through is through sounding like a fucking fruitcake. And yet he's been in power for 9 years, And he would get ousted tomorrow, but he's called elections at the best like possible times. And you have a lot of really stupid people, man, who will vote for him because a lot of people just kind of, hear someone that sounds convincing and theatrical and say, oh, I like him. He sounds like a good talker. Because he sounds like people do in movies or what, right? You got to understand, some people haven't really ever learned to speak. Like from childhood, Actually, that's a good moment if you want to queue up. Here's a case in point, okay? Here's a case in point of a poor fucking... Well, anyway, just tee the clip up. But do you think this poor bastard... Pause. I'm sorry. Hang on. Do you think this poor bastard's going to, grow up to, concern himself with matters of, like, how honest his politicians are? Maybe, to be honest. Maybe he'll be, like, the conspiracy theorist guy. But there are a lot of folks who are not capable of reading, like a Wall Street Journal article and staying with it for the entirety of the work. They fall off, and that's important. You need to be able to kind of understand debates and stuff. And when you cannot, when you have a society whose literacy rates are absolutely crumbling, then you have swaths of people who aren't able to make like truly informed decisions. And they make decisions in elections based on stupid things like, I like him or I trust him, And it comes down to teaching kids how to speak correctly. Let's hear an example of a kid who you sent me this week and said, look at this guy. Get a load of this kid.
You know what's good to make this? Go back to school. Okay? Because I'm about to make a fresh cotolette. You don't know what's good to make.
If you don't know what's cotolette, you go back to school. Now, first of all, this kid, clearly from Montreal, he's got the Expos hat, he's got the accent. If you listen to the pod, you're aware of what the unique Montreal accent sounds like now. So you know this kid's from Montreal. Okay, great. That's who we're talking about here. That's the part of the world that this is taking place in our backyard. Adorable kid. Can I say that? He looks like a really endearing child. Very endearing. And he's got a lot of charisma. Being in front of the camera is not, it's, you got to want to do that. It's It's admirable. It's worth something. Kids are impressionable. The kid didn't come out of the womb sounding like that, right? His sphere of influence is leading to him sounding like that. And, you know, maybe that's okay. By the way, when I hear that, I get a little fired. Like when he goes, I'm making cotolette. I'm making cotolette. Like, he's got the smirk on his face, and he kind of looks like a 50-year-old guy saying, I'm making cotolette. I get a little excited because, I like cotolette. You know what I mean? Do you like cutlets? You enjoy eating cutlets?
Me, I like cotolette.
Okay, that's not now you're taking creative liberty. Do you enjoy eating them? Yes or no?
Yes.
Don't you want to be able to continue to enjoy them in the future when the older generations die off?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to make the cutlets, you know? Somebody's got to be the sacrificial lamb and just go through life and say, yeah, you know, Trudeau, all right, I'll vote for him. And then 5 years later, turn on him and say, oh, guys, oh, fuck it. And I can't say what they say, but you know what they say. You know, they say that, fuck that. You know, it's the F word, but not the good one, you know? And they're going to go through life, you know, kind of passively understanding the world around it. And in some ways, maybe that's better. Maybe it's better to just make cutlets. Someone's got to do it. Do I think it's a little cruel? Do I think we should get social services involved here and get the government involved and, you know, save this kid? I mean, I think we should at least try to give him a fair shake, right? Because right now I'm betting on like a refugee before I'm betting on this kid. You know, at least the refugee's going to go to fucking school and try to like read stuff and learn the language, right? And make conscious efforts to. Because this kid's parents think, I speak English. You don't think me, I speak English? You don't think that me, I'm able to raise my kid, you know? Like, so they will raise their kid as they wish, and that's fine. And this is, you know, this was posted on a TikTok of a cafe or something. By all means, looks very good. It looks delicious. I would go to this cafe. If the kid served me, I would be, invigorated. It would be cool, you know, get served on by this kid. Hey, young man, you know, give him a little, give him some money. He probably, you know, you gotta be nice to the kid, but you gotta think, fucking poor bastard, you know, like he doesn't have a shot, you know, he doesn't have a fucking shot, you know, like, anyway. Cotolette. So now there's a thing going on. Now apparently India and Canada are embroiled in some kind of geopolitical issue. I'm hearing people call it a beef. Okay, can we not call it the Canada-India beef, first off? It's not a beef, you know? This isn't World Star Hip-Hop. This isn't fucking, like, we're not talking about Bad Baby and Cardi B arguing about who could do more Kegels with her pussy. You know? This is not a beef, you know? It's not love and hip-hop. This is not a fucking beef. This is a geopolitical matter. And yeah, well, what's going on here? So I've only seen like headlines, and I've been seeing shit on. I'm afraid to say I've been seeing shit on Twitter, and I've been seeing shit on TikTok. Like I've not read. That's part of the literacy issue. You see, we're not fucking getting the information, right? But I did want to kind of, you know, do a little deep dive on the pod here, and it's so this is from the BBC. India Canada row. Justin Trudeau repeats allegation against India amid row. That's interesting. They used the word row twice in the title. Okay. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has reiterated that there are, quote, credible reasons to believe that Indian agents may have been behind the murder of a Sikh separatist on Canadian soil. He first made the allegations on Monday last week, which India has strongly rejected, calling them absurd. Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who India designated a terrorist in 2020, was shot dead outside a temple in June. Tensions between the two countries have flared after the allegation. Yeah, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit if the Indian government was responsible for the murder of a Sikh separatist? You know what I'm saying? By the way, I mean, like I think half the Sikhs in the world are in Canada, by the way. Like this is the most, if there's a Canadian story in 2023, it's a Sikh man from India in British Columbia getting killed outside a temple, and India and Canada getting embroiled in some kind of beef over it. Okay, The Indian government has often reacted sharply to demands by Sikh separatists in Western countries for Khalistan or a separate Sikh homeland. Though India designated Nijjar a terrorist, his supporters reject the claim, saying he was a peaceful activist who backed the demand for a separate homeland for Sikhs. Yeah, okay. But he's advocating for a thing that you, as the head of India, don't want. So yeah, you kill the guy. Like, I get it, you know? I'm not happy the guy's dead, but doesn't that kind of make him a martyr also? Isn't that kind of good for the cause, you know? Why is Trudeau getting involved? Like, who gives a shit? What is he? When did he levy the accusations is what I'm interested in. Did he do it in the media, or did he, like, do it, you know, face-to-face with the president and say, hey, I know what you did. Please, not in Canada. You know? Like, here's the thing. I mean, Canada can't really be in cahoots. Maybe it's just a smart... Maybe Canada was in cahoots and was like, yeah, sure, we'll give you the guy. He's the guy you need. I don't give a shit. Fine. Send more, you know. If there's a... Granted... You know what it is? I'll bet you Canadians are actually... maybe Trudeau's, like, secretly, like, he knows, like, the number of... I'll bet you Trudeau secretly knows that the number of Indians that are flooding into Canada is actually not sustainable. So he's like, fuck, they need their own state over there so that all these fucking Punjabs and Sikhs don't keep coming here. It's a real issue. We can't have these guys get killed. He's like a leader of their cause. We need the cause to be seen through because we need a breakaway state in India so that we could stop having all these Punjabis come over here. Granted, that would probably... I don't know, maybe, I was going to say, granted, that would probably incentivize, you know, more of them to leave because a smaller state than India would probably have a harder time being sustained. But you never know. Like, if it's a question of cultural identity and stuff, maybe Trudeau's thinking, fuck it, maybe we'll send some of these guys back. Maybe he's like, fuck it, there's too many of them, we can't keep up. I don't know. But I would suspect, like if a government comes to another government and says, hey, you got a guy, we need a moral victory, turn him over. Well, you know, they'll go, yeah, no problem, fucking... We'll survey him for you. We'll carry the hit out for you, you know? So I don't know. I mean, if they did that and Trudeau's now kind of coming out saying, oh, you know, this is wrong of India to have done that, knowing full well that it was his own government that did it, that's a little shitty. That's a little scummy. If he wasn't responsible for it, if Trudeau and his government weren't responsible for it, it's kind of like, who gives a shit? Let it happen. It's like the mob killing the mob, you know? It's like when the mafia kills the mafia. We don't all get mad and go up in arms and say, oh, you know, who's responsible for this? You know, if the Italian government executed a mafioso, you know, in St. Leonard, would the Canadian government come out? I'd love to see Justin Trudeau say, Georgia, hey, listen, we know what you did. We know what you did. It's not cool. Don't do it in Papineau. That's my riding. That's where I run in Parliament, okay? And she's like, uè, comandante, chi è? Ma scusa, ma io non ce la posso fare con questa schifezza, non ce la posso fare. She could be like, Justin, I tell you what. You keep it up. You fucking call me again. You give me another fucking call. I'm gonna go full Mussolini, okay? I'm gonna go full Mussolini. I'm gonna start doing the salute, and don't think I'm gonna go into the fucking stadium. I'm gonna get the fuck. I got the army. I got the fucking army. You wanna fuck with me, Justin? You wanna fuck with me, Justin? I don't need the fucking army. Me, I have. Now I'm going full St. Leo. Me, I got the ultras, bro. You understand? She'll go. All I gotta do is call in the fucking troops from Staten Island and they'll march up over the border and shoot your ass if I ask them to. Because I have them in my fucking pocket. I got them eaten out of the palm of my hand. I went to the Columbus statue. You understand? They'll die for me, these people. Mr. Trudeau's accusation has fueled an ugly diplomatic row between India and Canada, two countries that have historically shared close ties and good trade relations. Though India designated Nijjar a terrorist. Okay, anyway, we already read that. Both countries have expelled a diplomat each of the other nation, and on Thursday, India suspended visa services for Canadians. Yeah, well, just wait until Canada suspends visa services for Indians. That's really going to kick up a shitstorm. Because right now you only have, you know, middle-aged suburban women that might have wanted to go to India on a yoga retreat that are getting affected by this. Just wait when half of the Canadian workforce in tech and banking and IT are just, the whole pipeline is cut off. You know? That's the thing. That's the thing. You could be Trudeau and placate for a while, but eventually, real politicians are going to say, dude, you don't understand. Like, I'm the fucking Prime Minister of Italy. We've been around for like 3,000 years. You understand? Like, we were the Roman Empire, and I'm not afraid to start invoking that and get people to start beheading people if needed. Like, yeah, we'll let Amadou and we'll let Singh into the country and we'll let him integrate. That's fine. But ultimately, like, we're gonna like uphold our traditional values, and we're just gonna do it because it's what makes sense to us. You understand? And then you have like India, who's like, dude, like, we're a fucking billion people right now, and you're what, 35 million? You're the United States' cousin, but we're a huge fucking country. We have to, we're the largest democracy, quote unquote, whatever the fuck that means, in the world. India is purportedly, right? The head of the Indian government is not going to fuck around. You're not going to get elected the head of the Indian government because they're still traditionalists over there. They still care about, like, real things, I would assume. Like, sensible matters. Like, how do we elevate ourselves out of poverty, and school, and basic education, and clean water, and so on and so forth. When that's the shit you're dealing with as the Indian head of state, and you have, like, separatist groups, and there's 27 different languages recognized in the country, yeah, you're not going to placate a fucking guy like Trudeau, who used to teach drama in the East End of Montreal. You know? Meanwhile, Canada has reduced its personnel in India, saying some diplomats have received threats on social media. On Thursday, Mr. Trudeau spoke to reporters in New York at the sidelines of the UN General Assembly and repeated some of the earlier claims. As I said on Monday, there are credible reasons to believe that agents of the government of India were involved in the killing of a Canadian on Canadian soil. He said, and added that by doing so, the country is standing up for the rules based on international order that we believe in. Yeah, so I get it. Like, it's not ideal, but you could, like, pee-pee whack him in private and say, dude, come on, you can't do this on Canadian soil. You got to make it look like an accident. Don't do it in the press, man. Don't do it in the press, you know? Because, again, it's not like India's going to start coming in and shooting me and you, you know? Like, this guy's a Canadian citizen, but he's politically involved and active in India. You know, that can't be lost on us here, right? That's all kind of fucking relevant to this whole thing. Milan Fashion Week is going on. And Juventus Football Club had a showcase or something. I don't know what this was. Was this a fashion show? Adidas and Scurra. Gianpaolo Scurra, who I think is a designer. Juve have been doing this for a little while now. For a couple of years, they've been going to Milan Fashion Week, and they've been partaking in the festivities, and, you know, you'll have some designer just create these, like, freakish dresses and outfits, you know, these runway outfits, and they pose in front of the Juventus, you know, kind of post-game press conference backdrop, right? And a lot of Juve fans are upset because this guy, Gianpaolo Scurra, created a design or a lookbook which, you know, featured a lot of really freakish kind of, you know, designs, stuff you'll, you know, typically see on a runway. You know, some of them are attractive women, some attractive dudes. There's this one guy wearing like an Adidas like tracksuit with like a cut-off tank top. And then there's this one, so again, people are upset about this because of this one guy who looks like James Charles. I don't know. That's a man, right? Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a dude, but he's got like the big lips. He's got, you know, makeup on, and this is a tough look when you lose to Sassuolo on the weekend, isn't it? Like, I get what Juve is trying to do, and, you know, football clubs are becoming global brands, and they want to be involved in shit like fashion weeks, and they want to be present. They feel like they've always got to be seen. But you got to realize, you know, that, you know, the people who pay tickets to go watch this are probably unanimously revolted by this. Like over 90%, I would assume, are like, yeah, this is not for me. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you'll overlay this here, but I'm describing for people listening. I'm describing this dude with a red crop top and fuck me boots on, dressed like a woman, with like a ballerina tutu, or something. And now again, this is modern fashion. Now this is no surprise. But so what you're seeing here is a club which feels that they have to get involved in in efforts to be cool. And the reality is, I mean, this is just like a standard like fashion week type of vibe, but the people that like football hate the shit, and a lot of people don't understand what it has to do with football in particular. I just want to say this, like, so the Saudi League is gonna work. The Saudi League is gonna work. Not just because they have money, but because eventually it's gonna work. Because the Saudis are gonna be the last, like, country on earth to do something like this, right? The Saudis are not going to get involved in fashion shows. They're not going to get involved with designers. You might have like a watch sponsorship, maybe, or like a Patek Philippe, the alpha male shit. You know what I'm saying? The Saudis are smart enough to realize that the people that like football are predominantly men, and they need to just appeal to meatheads, and guys who want to watch American Psycho and get Scarface tattoos, and be the man, and ultimately that's the type of deluxe brands that they'll be lining themselves up with, right? Aligning themselves with. When you see a club like Juve do this, it doesn't personally offend me. I actually think it's like fun. They're at a fashion show, whatever, cool. The Saudis are going to win. A lot of people see this and say, I'm revolted, I'm disgusted, and I'm embarrassed to be a fan. That's not me, but that's a lot of fans, because you have to know who the fucking football fan is. If you isolate him, you're going to drag him. You're going to push him away to Al-Ittihad. They're going to say, men in dresses. We don't even let women into the stadium. You want to worry about fucking dresses? We don't have dresses. I mean, the men wear dresses, but that's because it's what we do, and it's distinguished actually over there, and it's for some reason it's a manly thing. Even when they wear dresses, they're fucking, they're KKK type, like they got like the Klansmen, like this garb. I mean, it has sleeves, but it's also like kind of like a dress. Do they have legs? There might be pant legs. I don't know. They probably have pant legs. It's not a dress. What am I saying? Men don't wear dresses in Saudi Arabia. Don't kill me. Men don't wear dresses in Saudi Arabia, silly. They hate the gays. They wouldn't want to dress gay. Don't you get it? Don't you get it, Dilo? Would Napoli have ever done this? Can you imagine if fucking Napoli had done this, dude? It's over for them. If fucking Napoli does this, you'll have people rioting in the streets, and you would have protests in the stadium. No one will protest this because I think no one really gives that much of a shit. But if you did this in like if Palermo got taken over by like an American group or something, and just and they started pushing like the American Western woke agenda on the people of Palermo, the people will be up in arms. And frankly, this is why I made fun of Venezia for a very long time. I don't know what this is. It feels like I'm fucking looking at a Venezia like lookbook right now. When I see this shit, that's the way that the world is going, and that's the way the football world is going. Right? Is marketing people saying, let's be cool, and let's get seen by more people. We already have the football fan. We already have the jock. Let's get seen by more people. But what you fail to account for is the football fan wants a thing. You're isolating him when you do some shit like this. And the reason I think that no one really gave a shit in Venezia is because basically it's a nothing club. It's a small ass club that no one really gives a shit about, right? So, it's not like everyone in the Veneto region like Venezia. They all like their own respective clubs. Pavia or Padova. I don't even know if those. I think those cities are in Veneto. I don't know. It's not the point. The point is, like, no one really gave enough of a shit about them, so they let that guy run rampant, and because people actually give a shit about Naples and Napoli, right? And it's like the pride of their city. They'd say, "What is this shit?" Yeah, I don't know. They would say, questo non è calcio. Questo non è. I don't know what that didn't sound Neapolitan. Questo non è pallone. Questo non è pallone, capito? Pallone. Questo non è calcio. Questione di calcio. That was lame. That was fucking stupid imitation. This sound like I'm fucking gagging on the mic now. It's going off the rails now. Fucking losing my mind. Is there anything you wanted to bring up before we wrap?
Save it for next week.
You want to save it for next week?
I think the story's gonna unfold.
It's timeless? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And it's not something that is on my radar, you don't think?
It's probably on your radar, but I think we're gonna see the story develop a bit.
All right,
more.
another teaser. We like a teaser. That's good. No problem at all. So let's cut away to a couple things that we did before the pod. What's been going on, man, with this knee? Are you you're not wearing the brace. So what's that mean?
The brace was just to protect me from if I were to fall or lose my balance with my crutches, just kind of protect me. So
Okay.
But it was uncomfortable. I just wear it when I sleep.
Well, we wish you the best. I hope we'll probably do this here again next week again. I'm cool with that. We could do it in this lovely setting over here. No squirrels this week. We didn't see any squirrels, did we?
I saw.
You saw some squirrels?
Yeah.
Dude, the squirrels in my backyard are running rampant now because this is actually very sad. We're all very sad about this, but our dog, we had to put our dog down a couple weeks ago, and it's been very difficult, and it sucks. He was the first dog and only dog we've had. It's really weird to not have him around, and whatever, it sucks. But there's no point in really getting into it much more than that. But it fucking sucks. But one thing that's happened now is like, because he was a little guy, right? And you guys would have heard him on the pod, right? You would have heard Max, right? He barked sometimes and created a ruckus. He was a very he was a rambunctious little guy. He was 12, but he got sick, unfortunately. That's what led to his demise. But he was like fine until the end, till like a couple days before the end, which is why we had to do what we did. But we had no choice. But he was fucking like not he was not that old, just to put it into perspective. And for a 12-year-old dog, he had a lot of fucking like piss and vinegar. So he would like go into the backyard and I guess like patrol it. And what I'm realizing now is like, now that he's gone, the squirrels are coming back. It's like when the U.S. backed out of Afghanistan and the Taliban are just running amok. We can do whatever we want now. That menace is gone. The guy keeping us in check is gone. So that it was kind of like when the when the conquistadors left South America and just left them with like I don't know, just the jungle took on a mind of its own and kind of just started. It's actually a really stupid example. Or no, what it was so when the conquistadors left South America, they just gave all the natives like European diseases and they all just died and they all disappeared. And then the jungle was like, fuck, we could just keep expanding, and the jungle just kind of like ate up their cities apparently and their whole civilizations. That's like what's happening at the Adamo backyard right now. But no, a very good time in your backyard here today. Today, sir. So thank you for accommodating me. So just a couple of quick pointers here as to what it is you're about to listen to, because we're about to wrap the I guess recorded segment of the pod, but we pre-banked some shit from before, which we'll put in now in post. So the first thing is I got a call back from the QCSL. I got a call back from the QCSL, that league we were talking about last week, because they wish to clarify the story of Matko Miljevic, which I slandered them for on the pod last week. So full account of that coming right up. And then after that, we have a legal segment with the Adamo family's personal attorney, who sought to threaten and extort and strong arm the Eastern Door newspaper for their defamation of my character and the libel which they engaged in. And it was an interesting phone call with our lawyer, so stay tuned for that. That's the legal segment which we were teasing before. So let's get into that right now without further ado. I'll just say this now: subscribe to the show if you're new. If you're listening to it, please rate it. Some of you did the other day when I asked you to. Appreciate it. More of you do. Just rate it. Give it a rating. 5 stars. It helps us. I'm Sam Adamo. You probably know that already. Follow me. Don't follow D'Lo. He doesn't care. He doesn't want you to know what he looks like. His grandfather lives in K-Town, and we're trying to stay off the grid. And I should probably stop mentioning that every episode, because eventually they're gonna catch on to it, and there can only be so many Italians in that neighborhood, I would assume, right? Or is he like our mole for when the race war breaks out? We'll just meet underground at his house. It'll be like an inconspicuous house on the res. But anyway, so this marks officially the final chapter of the of the beef with the Mohawks. They seem to have I believe they've accepted defeat. I guess they folded anyway, or have they? I don't listen to the legal segment. Let's get into it now. Much love to you all. All right, let's cut away to the. Is this Johnny? Hello.
Yeah, speaking.
Hi, how's it going? It's Sam Adamo. What's up, man? I left you a nasty voicemail last week on the pod. That was me. What's up, bro? You're on the pod right now. How's it going?
Not bad, bro. How are you?
Listen, all right. We need to get our story straight, okay? So it seems there might be more to this than meets the eye. You sent me a whole description of what actually transpired, and I'd like for you to clarify the record, because Hang on. I slandered you guys last week. I said these guys should have kept their mouths shut. They should have kept it low-key. You're now saying that you tried to keep it low-key. Do you want to maybe just get into what happened?
Absolutely. He came to play, he plays with a team that's got 2 teams. They play on Mondays and Tuesdays. So he came to play with them. I honestly have never seen him in my life. I don't know who he is. I mean, it's not like he's on the field. It's not like we can recognize him, right? So we don't know who he is. So he came to play. He gave us another name. We use the honor system when we register players. So we ask his name and his date of birth, and we take a picture of him. That's it. We go with that.
He let you take a picture of him. He didn't think to maybe.
No.
Okay.
Exactly. I don't know. We take pictures because that's their profile is on their page. Because
sure.
we need to identify everybody, right? So we identify everybody. So we stop cheating. So he didn't say nothing. He gave us that fake name, which was Nicholas Sotelo. Was the name he used.
He gave an Italian name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nicholas Sotelo.
Okay.
So that's the name he used, and after about 3 weeks that he played, somebody pointed him out. This is it, but this guy, he plays on the Impact. He's for CF Montreal again. So
and can I just interject? And if I know people that play in these leagues, I've been playing in leagues like this for almost 10 years. It probably wasn't even like a malicious thing where he was like, hey, why the fuck is this guy playing a league? It was more like a, holy shit, this guy plays for CF Montreal. He was probably like, hey, this is cool type of thing. Bro, look at this. Me can get sick type of thing.
He didn't like turn on the jets or try to he didn't go scoring 10 goals in a game. He just wanted to play.
He was
and I can understand. That was a player too. He didn't get enough playing time. He wants to come and play with his friends because one of his friends is on the team. I think it's his neighbor. So he brought him to come and play. I don't care. We don't care if he plays, but we look stupid when somebody else points him out and says, but this guy is not Nicholas Sotelo. We're like, what are you talking about? He says, this guy plays for CF Montreal. Look at his name. It's Mihail or whatever. So we Google him. We see his picture. We're like, okay, now we look like idiots as if we're trying to cheat for that team, which doesn't make sense to us,
Yeah.
So I told him,
you were put between a rock and a hard place.
We look stupid, like as if we don't do our job. Like, we don't know who's on the field. You understand? So we're like, listen, I don't care if he wants to play, but I have to fix his name. I don't mind to tweak a letter or two.
For him, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care. At least we can make a spelling mistake. It's okay. But not a complete name mistake completely. We look stupid.
Right, so that anyone who sees the game sheet would know, yeah, it's him, but hypothetically on paper, it's not him because there's a letter off.
If you Google it, you're going to mistake. You will not get that search because you won't get that perfect name. So we don't care. We'll try to hide his identity. We don't give a shit. To be honest, we just want people to play.
Right.
We don't care. As long as the guy doesn't make trouble.
Yeah, it's not illegal for you guys to let him play. He's the one breaching his contract, right? Hypothetically.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
Exactly. So we don't mind. Now, the thing is, a couple of weeks later, 2 weeks later, he came to watch his team play, which the Tuesday team was out of the playoffs. So he came to watch the same guys on Monday, but he doesn't play on that team. So he came to sit on the bench. Now, we know who he is, so we let him sit on the bench, which normally we don't do if you're not on the team. But we know who he is now. We're like, okay, whatever, we're sitting on the bench.
Little reverence. He's a pro. For Christ's sake.
It doesn't matter if he's a pro. It doesn't matter. I mean, we just try to have people on the bench.
Okay.
Involved in the game.
All right, everyone gets treated the same. Fine.
And then, I mean, what's going on the field? We can't hear everything. We have a desk not far, but we can't hear everything that's going on. So apparently he's tripping with a guy from the other team.
In Spanish?
We don't know. In Spanish. Apparently it was in Spanish.
Okay.
Now, obviously, not everybody speaks Spanish. We don't know what they're saying. And even if it is, we're too far to hear what they're saying anyways.
Are you there at this time?
I had just left about half an hour before this happened. So this is my staff that my manager told me what happened. Obviously, the referee was there too, but he was on the opposite side of the field. Because he tried to stay not on the side of the benches. We keep our referees on the other side. There's only one ref. So he stays on the opposite side. So we were trying to watch the game. We were on to listen to what's going on. Now he's chirping. What happened is the other guy must have said something to him, so Mihailovic goes to spit at him. So he says something else.
Did he hit him?
Or
did he spit in the general vicinity? Or did he spit in the general vicinity? Or did he hit his target?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not sure. So I'm not gonna say for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
But whatever it is, he spat at him. The guy gets up. He says something to him, and Mihailovic gets up and punches him in the face. So
Does the guy go down?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think he went down. But I don't think so. Not that I know of. And so what happened was, now this guy, he got upset, and obviously the next day he called somebody at the press department of the Montreal FC, and he told them, this guy, one of your players, punched me in the face. I want to press charges. So that's how this all escalated. This had nothing to do with us. We suspended him because obviously he's a player in the league. He punched somebody, you're suspended.
Sure.
So he got suspended.
Okay.
That's how we left us.
So it was on the bench. It wasn't like in the stands or something, or like in the dressing room as might have been reported.
It
And
was on the bench.
Okay.
On the bench during the game.
So you guys really had your hands tied here.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you guys had nothing to do with this getting out. The guy on the other team probably went to the press, and he's the rat.
He didn't go to the press. He went to somebody at the Montreal FC because it's one of the players that they know he is. That is one of them. He says, we want to press charges on him. He assaulted me, which he did. He spat at him and he punched him in the face.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. It's still the action. The guy wanted to press charge. Now, we can't. How am I supposed to control that? I don't know what happened. The next day was it, or the day after? The day after, it was 2 days later. The guy from FC Montreal, from, what's his name? Maxime something, who does a lot of reportage. I forgot his name. Maxime T something. He calls me and asks me what happened. So I told him what happened.
So he got the scoop, and
He
you
got the scoop, and he called me to find out what I know, and I'm telling him exactly what I told him.
and you gave him the juice.
Man. And that is it. I didn't think it was going to blow up that far, but man, the next thing you know, this guy's calling me. La Presse is calling me. The guy from the MLS legal department's calling me. Tony Marinero is calling me. I'm like, holy crap, man. You know, like I said, we didn't want to have anything to do with this. We did what we had to do as a league, suspend the guy, and that's it.
Okay.
But that the guy went to press charges, that's where everything shit hit the fan.
Did they send you like a subpoena or something? And you know, so you didn't have to reveal it, but you elected to not, you know, in the interest of transparency.
Well, we have no choice. The guy was going to press charges. So, like, as the president of the league,
Sure.
I have to not agree. I have to say what happened.
Right.
Because that's what the guy said, and he asked me to clarify, and I clarified exactly what I know that happened.
Okay.
I had no choice. We didn't rat him out. He asked me what happened, and this is what happened. It's simple as that. Now, what goes beyond that, it's not in our control. As I said, strictly as a league, I didn't mind that he played. I even changed his name to accommodate him.
You did what you did, and then you wash your hands of it like Pontius Pilate.
Exactly. But nobody gets up to go punch somebody in the face. I can't, like, what am I going to do now? Can I defend you now? I can't defend you.
Yeah, you turn Jesus over to the Pharisees, and then whatever happens. Pontius Pilate washes his hands and says, listen, whatever happens here is I'm no longer responsible, basically.
But yeah, you're on the field. You're not even part of the game. That's the other thing. He's not even part of the game. Like, he's sitting as a spectator, and you go to get involved like that.
John, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I'm getting another call coming in. I really appreciate it. Is it cool if we use this on the pod?
Oh yeah.
Is it cool if we do? I can text you. I'll text you and ask. Okay, cool. I gotta let you go. Thank you. Ciao.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, hello.
Hi, this is from Eastern Door.
Hello. How are you, sir? This is Yvan Saint Laurent. You're speaking with. I'm a lawyer with Spiegel. How are you, sir?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Are you the editor of the newspaper?
I'm the managing editor.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for taking the time to call me back. I appreciate it. The reason for my calling is I'm the personal attorney for the family of for the Adamo family, and a number of weeks ago there was an article published in your publication, which is probably, I mean, I handle a number of legal affairs for different families, and it is very rare to deal with defamation and this sort of thing, but I have colleagues who deal with this sort of thing quite extensively. I have to say it was maybe one of the most open shut cases of defamation libel that any of us had seen in our legal practice. I have colleagues who we have been working for over 35 years, some of us together. The article in question is about one Mr. Samuel Adamo and a podcast that he does. The article, I will read it to you here. It's Kanawaki targeted in racist podcast. So there are a few things which I wanted to just sort of inform you of, which is, I mean, first of all, obviously, there is freedom of the press. You are, legally allowed to publish whatever you like, but you're probably familiar with some of the defamation laws in Canada. Of course, I just to go over them in very preliminary terms, there is slander, which is spoken word, and there is libel, which is written word. So in this case, it would be an example of defamation libel because it is assassination of character. And the article itself, in addition to levying accusations against this individual, which are provably untrue, they additionally, the article, the text displays levels of gross negligence. I'm speaking in terms of legality here and how it would likely be interpreted by a judge, just when I tell you that it is a very open and shut case. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the article in question. It was written by one Miss Eve Cable. Are you familiar with the article? I assume you might be if you're the editor of the publication.
I'm the managing editor.
Managing editor. Great. So you do see the things that are published. You're familiar with this piece?
Right.
Are you?
I'm familiar with the article, yes.
Okay, great. So there are a couple of issues. I mean, just again, it's not for me to judge. It would hypothetically, it would have to go to a judge. I'm just kind of walking you through how a judgment would probably work in this case. So racist in the title right off the bat, without any proof of this, is problematic. But then there is also the issue of negligence, which the author displays in the writing of the article, omitting key details, omitting key context. And then at one point, she cites things that were said on the following episode and deliberately omits many things which were said to walk things back, to clarify that it was indeed satire. So the issues here are pretty clear. The reason I'm calling you is because my client personally does not really care that the article is out there, but there is another name of another person in the article, and that person is bothering my client now in his personal life, and he is kind of over it. So my client now, just to make the whole thing go away, because he does not want this to plague him in however many years, if this guy is still calling him about it, being paranoid and all that, he wants to have the article taken down for defamation libel. He's prepared to sue, and frankly, they are a very affluent family, and they do have the means to do so. They do not need the financial benefit of it, but he is kind of over it, and he's explained to me that I have free reign to proceed with a lawsuit of the publication in addition to the author. Two separate cases as per standard in the Canadian judicial system. And the last thing that he wishes to do is to, you seem like a very humble publication. He does not want to cripple the newspaper financially. So he instructed me that before sending a formal warning or a formal notice, which is customary practice in most of the Western world before proceeding with a lawsuit, that I was to call you to give you effectively an informal warning of the intent. So I hoped that we might be able to come to some kind of agreement together now, so that we do not need to proceed to the next step, which would be a legal notice sent by mail to the offices of the newspaper with a 10-day timeline in which you would be able to negotiate or agree to some kind of financial restitution or take the article down. If that would not happen, then I would have to proceed with a legal case on behalf of my client. But this is 4 steps away, and it is probably all unnecessary if we can come to some kind of amicable agreement now, if we could potentially look to avoid these matters and these problems.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, I mean, I don't agree with your characterization of there being no evidence of the characterization of the podcast.
It is not a racist podcast, as is. I mean, listen. This is not a legal thing where we can argue back and forth. You might disagree with it personally, but it is like man to man. It is because I understand it's a little bit of a silly thing here, but I do have an obligation to represent the client, and he has requested that I do this in good faith, so I must admit to you that it will probably be a very hard case to defend if that is what you guys wish to do, for the simple fact that it is in the title, it is accusatory, and it accuses the podcast itself of being racist, which is quite manifestly untrue. And I suppose that a racist... Now, what is racism? It is satire racism? Is it not? This is where it gets subjective. But and here's where it gets strange. Even if a thing was said which is racist on a podcast, whatever that means, whether it is or is not true, even if something is, it can be argued, and it will be argued, that this does not make the whole podcast as an institution and as an operation racist. You understand how it is a little bit complex? This is where the words that are used matter. I do not personally... I would prefer not to legally pursue you guys. I do have an obligation on behalf of my client to do so. It is just to sort of let you know that there would not be a very good case in the event that you wish to try to argue it. And in the event, listen, if you need to take a day or so to consider what to do, that is okay. I would need some kind of confirmation that it would be taken down before proceeding with a formal warning. That would be the next step, but I do think it is very much avoidable. I have not yet spoken to the author, but the next step would be to speak to her and give her the same informal warning before respectively giving you each individual formal legal notices.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds to me perhaps a formal notice might be something that is lays everything out clearly, and
okay. I could simplify it for you and say, if the article comes down, then there is no suit. So that will be essentially what is in the legal warning, which would be hypothetically sent if we cannot come to some kind of terms now. But there might additionally be... So that is the first thing. The second thing is there might be a vague or specific demand for some kind of financial restitution, which would then be sought after in a legal suit in the event that it is not paid out, or if another kind of private agreement can be come to which does not include a private settlement for damages.
Right. I see. And this would be laid out in a legal notice.
It would be laid out in a legal notice, yes. If the article comes down, then there is no legal notice, and there is no demand of a financial nature, and there is no negotiation. I do apologize for putting you in this position, but it is a responsibility of a publication. I understand you are a humble one, and we do not wish to put you in a hard spot, but it is an instruction which I have been given by my client, and I must uphold it. And frankly, I would have instructed him otherwise if I did not think that he had a legal case. So this is a matter which can be resolved quite simply, but it should be dealt with promptly.
Yeah. Well, we also have our own obligations as well, and that includes not just taking down articles willy-nilly.
I do understand that. This is why I'm informing you so that you might be able to weigh the options. I do not know if this is something which occurs often. I suspect it is probably not. I do not, I am not very familiar with your operation and how, what kind of articles you're putting out regularly, and if it is something that might cause problem. I do not know. But I can say that and again, I don't know if you'd like to consult a lawyer yourself. He could tell you this. I will tell you from a neutral point of view, typically the burden of proof in your case, and in the case of the author, respectively, would be to prove that no negligence occurred and that no malicious intent was at play. And if there is any kind of indication that information was omitted, which might sway the story in an attempt to paint a person in a negative light, then that is a very open-shut case of defamation libel, according to the Canadian jurisprudence. So, again, you might consider consulting with a lawyer, but there is no legal notice at hand here. So, you might consider taking it down if you wish. I understand you may not want to agree to it on the phone right away. I just wanted to give you an informal warning. If you'd like to make a decision within the next 24 hours, that would be acceptable. That is quite okay. If you'd like to you could even send me a text message. That's no problem. I could just check and confirm that it is indeed taken down, and we will not proceed with the next steps. But it is up to you to decide. I just wanted to give you an informal warning of what is going on and what would be to come in the event that you wish to continue to proceed with the process. I do apologize for catching you off guard, but it is my responsibility to act on behalf of my client.
Okay, well, thank you for the call, and could you spell your name for me, please?
Yes, it's Ivan, Y-V-A-N, Saint Laurent, like the street.
Like S-T or
S-T,
yeah.
L-A-U-R-E-N-T, yes.
And your law firm?
My law firm is Spiegel. Yes.
Okay. Are you Montreal based?
Part of the year. I'm originally from Montreal. I operate out of Texas and out of Quebec. I am barred in both. I'm part of the bar in both jurisdictions. So,
okay.
If you'd like to inform me in the next 24 hours, that would be okay. What time is it now? By 3:30 tomorrow, say, if you could just get back to me with a response.
Well, thank you for the call.
Thank you, sir. And your name is... What is your last name, sir, so that I might write it down for my records?
My name is... I'm the managing editor.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you taking the time. We will talk tomorrow if you wish to notify me. And if you wish to proceed, that is okay. You are allowed. You're entitled to do whatever you want. I would appreciate if you could let me know so that we might know if we are to proceed with the legal warning or not, so that we might do it sooner and get it resolved at a more expedited rate.
Okay. Well, thank you for the call.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right. So just to update you guys. So our lawyer is off to the side. Ivan is with us right now. Dilo went to the bathroom on crutches, really slowly kind of inched his way into the bathroom. So when this happened, I couldn't exactly call him back and say, dude, sprint back here. But as he was in the bathroom, our lawyer got a call back from the publication, and they cited that they don't have the bandwidth or the resources to deal with it, and so the article's been taken down. So thank you, legal expert, personal litigator, for your work. Virtual Knuckles off the pod. Yeah, he's giving me a little tip of the hat. You did a good job. So that's it. Thank you for closing this chapter. I don't have to fucking worry about it getting brought up in a couple years now, when comic who's not to be named, but who's a great guy and who I love very much, but when he fucking gets paranoid about it again and says, hey, by the way, remember that pod we did years ago. So thank you for helping me with that. Family lawyer. So thank you. He's giving me he's nodding. But yeah, so Dilo, you were gone and
I missed it.
It happened while you were in the bathroom. He called and we didn't think to turn the mics on. We couldn't put the camera on our lawyer. He's working on the knee case as well, right? Or the legal case with the hospital. The hospital case is what we should refer to it as, regarding your knee.
He's such a good lawyer. I'm gonna have to get in contact.
Well, he's the best. Yeah, no, he's the best. All he's got to do is one call, one phone call. Best there is. One and done. One pump chump.
1 for 1.
Merci, Ivan. All right, listeners. Till next time. We'll catch you soon. A la próxima. Ciao.